So this is a rendering of our bayfront development, and it's in the environmental impact report. This is a residential development, and similar to what Leslie mentioned earlier regarding Gaylord, for the purposes of the environmental impact report, we've done the massing. We know where the buildings are going to go. We know how high they're going to be. What we haven't done is we haven't designed the buildings fully. We haven't designed the architecture. So this is an artist's best guess at what it could look like. I think it's a little flat. We are seeking input, so please, feel free to let us know what you think the architecture should look like. This portion is approximately 15 acres, 14 acres, and we're putting 1,500 residential units there. And the purpose of that type of intensity is to locate development in a smaller area, leaving more open space, more area for parks. This portion right here in the front, this is actually another piece of the Pacifica development. It's planned for a future phase. It includes office, commercial, and hotel. It's a 250-room hotel. It's about 400,000 square feet of office and commercial. And so the reason that's in white is because it's in a future phase and it's further off. And you can see here I've kind of bulleted some of the benefits of the project. What we tried to do is line up the buildings to maximize view corridors. I'm going to show you an overhead view which shows the walkways and the plazas. We're trying to connect everything visually to the harbor. I'll show you some of the environmental benefits, but that's the basic gist of it. And then there's another very interesting piece of our project. This red line here is the mean high tide line. And our residential development is here on the west side of the mean high tide line. If we were to build over here, it's on the east side of the mean high tide line. The reason this is important
What did you say the red line is?
It's the mean high tide line.
Oh, thank you.
And the reason that that's important is because if we build here on the west side, that's in the redevelopment area. It generates tax increment for the city of Chula Vista till 2044. If we build here on the east side of the mean high tide line, it's not in the same redevelopment area. And this redevelopment area expires before we'll even break ground. So we won't generate any tax increment for the city of Chula Vista. So that single element is significant from a public benefit point of view for the city of Chula Vista. In fact, because we're planning to build west of the mean high tide line in the redevelopment area, our project is expected to generate $133 million total tax increment by 2044. And those numbers are available from the city of Chula Vista. I'm not an expert in this area of tax increment redevelopment, but I can provide the numbers to you through the city if you're interested. The other reason we're doing the project the way we are, as I've mentioned over and over, is we're putting residential in the most appropriate location. We've committed to achieve LEED certification, which is a cutting-edge green design certification system, basically. And in conversations with many of you, you've encouraged us to do silver, so that may be something that we'll commit to outside of the environmental impact report process. But in the environmental impact report process, it says LEED. And we're also committing to be Title 24, which is California's energy standards, by 20%, and that is in the environmental impact report. This is an overhead view of what I've just shown you. Here's the residential, so the marina is here. Here's the commercial, office, and hotel. And what we've tried to do is incorporate plazas, public plazas, so that this doesn't have a private feel. We want the public to come into our project. There's actually a promenade that extends all the way through the master plan down to J. And we really want to encourage people. We're actually going to try to activate some of these plazas with retail on the ground level and as many public amenities as we can. And I don't know the exact acreage of these plazas, but they're bigger than they look. They're actually significant in terms of their size. This little area here is called a wooner. That must be some kind of European word. Our architect is from Denmark, I think. And it means it's a multi-use pathway with pedestrian priority. We don't know if it's actually going to have cars on it, most likely not, but it may be a fire access, a secondary fire access. And what else can I tell you? And then, as I said, this is for a later phase. So this is looking from the west to the east, and I will tell you here really quickly what the maximum height is. This particular scenario is 19 stories. The tallest building is 19 stories, which is on this end. We tried to keep the buildings lower on this end, adjacent to the J Street Marsh. And this is a view from the ground, looking south, from the southern end, looking north. This is a view along the Marina Parkway Promenade, which is probably the area that'll have the most activity. We really plan to activate that area with retail, and then we're going to have, so this, for example, would be a restaurant, and then there will be townhomes in between, so it'll be a real mix of residential. And this is actually just it's on a podium that's just a couple of stories, so you won't feel like you're walking up against a huge high-rise building. The tower actually comes off this building over here, so you don't feel like you're walking up against a wall. And this is one of those internal plazas that I showed you. We plan to have cafes. I don't know about water features, but just wanted to give you a sense. And finally, next steps. We've really already gone over this. There was just a couple of things that I wanted to mention that's unique about the Pacifica project that Gaylord, lucky for them, they don't have to do. And that is that after we go to State Lands Commission, we get the master plan approved by Coastal Commission. And then the port is actually, Gaylord is actually, for all intents and purposes, pretty much done. But Pacifica, because we're in the city of Chula Vista, we actually then have to begin the process of getting city permits. And that's about a year-long process. It could be longer. We have to go through Planning Commission, CVRC, City Council, all the normal public process. So all of the things, so this is very early on for those of you who want to participate in the Pacifica part of the project. There'll be a couple more years of permitting in which we'll take public comment. And then we actually have to go back to the Coastal Commission. Gaylord doesn't have to do this. We have to go back for our coastal development permit. So we actually have a second step. And then we hope to begin construction in 2010. That may be a little optimistic, but that's what we're shooting for. And just finally, I wanted to say that many of you may have heard about a memorandum of understanding we did with a coalition of environmental and community groups called the Bayfront Coalition. And we did that when the first environmental impact report came out, and it was deemed inadequate by many people. And this EIR, as Leslie mentioned, addresses some of the original issues. So what we need to do now, and I've got this in the timeline, discuss issues and build consensus. And we need to reconvene with the public, and this is why this is so important, and with those groups that are involved in the Bayfront Coalition. And we need to see what gaps still exist, and then memorialize, whatever commitments we're going to make in, some form. And it's important to us that we do that in an inclusive way and not exclude anybody who's interested in participating. I think that's pretty much it. And my final comment would be for those of you reviewing the environmental impact report, it's very long, and we did 12 technical studies that supplement it. So in total, it's 10,000 pages. I think that most people will not be reading all 10,000 pages. The project description and the executive summary that includes the mitigation table, maybe, I think, in my opinion, the two most important things to take a look at. They pretty much summarize the hard and fast commitments that will be secured through this CEQA process, CEQA being the environmental impact report process. So if you're interested in that, the table in the executive summary and the project description. Thank you very much.